What does it mean for a city to remain perfectly preserved, not in desert sand or frozen earth, but beneath a silent lake? Far below the surface of Qiandao Lake in eastern China, stone gates still stand upright. Archways hold their curves. Carved lions guard doorways that no longer open to streets, but to water. Entire facades rest in filtered green light, untouched by wind, rain, or footsteps. This is Shi Cheng, Lion City. It lies in Zhejiang province, in a basin once shaped by rivers and low mountains. Before the waters rose, the city stood at the foot of Five Lion Mountain, its name drawn from the peaks that framed its skyline. Roads followed the contours of the valley. Walls enclosed neighborhoods. Temples, arches, and courtyards formed a dense urban pattern built in stone and wood. Then the valley changed. In the mid-20th century, the basin was deliberately flooded to create a reservoir. Hills became islands, streets became channels, and Shi Cheng, instead of crumbling or burning, simply slipped beneath rising water. Unlike many lost cities, it did not erode slowly over centuries. It did not collapse through warfare or drought. It was submerged intentionally, transformed from inhabited landscape to underwater monument in a matter of months. And yet what rests below is not ruin in the usual sense. The water, cool and still, has shielded carved surfaces from sunlight and storms. Wooden beams have decayed, but stone walls remain sharply defined. Decorative reliefs, dragons, phoenixes, floral patterns, are preserved with unexpected clarity. From above, the lake appears calm and expansive, reflecting sky and distant hills. Nothing on its surface hints at the geometry below. So the question lingers beneath the ripples. When a city is submerged rather than abandoned, does it truly disappear, or does it become something else entirely? Before the waters arrived, Shi Cheng occupied a strategic position within a fertile valley network. The basin was framed by low mountains and fed by tributaries that eventually joined larger river systems. Seasonal rains filled the surrounding fields. Mist settled over rooftops in the early morning. The setting offered both protection and access, an inland crossroads shaped by terrain rather than coastline. Stone walls once traced the city's perimeter. Within them, streets followed a deliberate grid adapted to natural slopes. Gates marked entrances at key points, each built with heavy lintels and carved ornamentation. From these thresholds, narrower lanes branched into residential quarters and commercial corridors. At its center, open courtyards created breathing space between dense construction. Temples rose on slightly elevated platforms, their stairways aligned with main streets. Archways framed transitions from one district to another. Decorative stone panels displayed layered carvings, animals, symbolic forms, flowing motifs, worked directly into the fabric of buildings rather than applied as surface detail. The city's foundations were anchored in durable stone, a choice that would later shape its underwater survival. Timber once filled the upper levels, supporting roofs and balconies, but it was the masonry that defined Shi Cheng's long-term structure. Blocks were fitted carefully, allowing walls to withstand both gravity and time. Markets likely clustered near the main arteries, where movement flowed most steadily. Storage spaces opened onto interior courtyards. Drainage channels directed rainwater away from foundations. Even without modern engineering, the city displayed a practical understanding of climate and terrain. Nothing about its layout suggests improvisation. Shi Cheng was measured, enclosed, and structured for continuity, and this makes its transformation more striking. Because when the reservoir expanded, it did not dismantle the city. It sealed it, locking streets, gates, and reliefs into an underwater stillness few ancient sites ever experience. When the valley was sealed and water began to rise, Shi Cheng did not fragment, it descended intact. As the reservoir filled, rooftops disappeared first, then upper walls, then gates. Finally, the last visible outlines of streets slipped below the surface. What remained was not a scattered ruin, but a complete urban footprint preserved in place. Underwater, time moves differently. Sunlight weakens as it passes through depth, softening into green haze. Silt settles slowly across stone thresholds. Fish drift through open archways. The city exists in suspension, untouched by wind, shielded from erosion, isolated from the cycles that usually wear buildings down. Divers who descend describe a landscape unexpectedly whole. City walls extend in long lines across the lakebed. Decorative carvings remain sharply defined. Massive stone gates stand upright, their relief patterns visible beneath layers of filtered light. Even staircases retain their form, leading downward into shadow rather than upward into sky. The water temperature remains relatively stable throughout the year, and the lack of strong currents has limited structural damage. In this quiet environment, stone has endured with remarkable clarity. Unlike desert ruins that crumble under heat or coastal cities that break apart in waves, Shi Cheng rests in stillness. And yet, preservation raises its own questions. When a city remains structurally complete but physically inaccessible, what does it become? Is it an archaeological site, a monument, a memory sealed in liquid space? Large portions of the layout remain only partially documented. Sediment covers lower streets. Some districts lie beyond explored zones. The full extent of the city beneath the lake has yet to be completely mapped. The water has protected Shi Cheng, but it has also concealed it. Over time, Qiandao Lake settled into its new shape. Hills became islands, shorelines stabilized. On the surface, boats pass quietly across open water, and sunlight glints off gentle waves. From above, nothing reveals the layered streets and stone gates resting below. Shi Cheng did not decline through drought, invasion, or slow economic fading. Its transformation was immediate, yet its disappearance from daily life was gradual. Once submerged, the city shifted from lived environment to sealed landscape. Memory replaced movement, maps replaced footsteps, and still the physical city remains. Beneath the surface, carved lions hold their silent watch. Archways frame empty corridors of water. Relief panels preserve their intricate patterns. Foundations stand as they did when air still filled the streets. The lake has acted as a barrier, but also as a shield, protecting masonry from sunlight, wind, and temperature extremes. In many ancient sites, erosion is the dominant force. Here, suspension is. Shi Cheng exists in a rare state, not ruined beyond recognition, not fully accessible, not entirely lost. Its preservation challenges familiar ideas of abandonment. The city was not reduced to fragments, it was paused. And so the original question returns. When a city is intentionally submerged yet structurally preserved, has it vanished or has it simply changed form? The evidence suggests something quieter than disappearance. Shi Cheng endures as an underwater archive of urban design, its gates and streets held in still water rather than shifting sand. It reminds us that landscapes can transform abruptly, yet architecture can persist in unexpected ways. The lake above reflects sky and distant hills. Below, stone holds its lines. Shi Cheng remains suspended between memory and matter, hidden, intact, and waiting in filtered light. If this exploration of Shi Cheng has lingered with you, you may choose to continue uncovering these quiet, submerged landscapes. And what do you think it means for a city to rest preserved beneath water rather than erased by time?